Our next presenter is Josh Cary. Mr. Cary, take the stage. Yep.
Who likes chocolate cake? Yay! Yeah. Well, it turns out you're not alone. My 2.5-year-old daughter, Danica, also happens to love chocolate cake these days. Really, she's all about the chocolate cake. So in lieu of having to tell her no 20 times a day, or perhaps worse, tell her, yeah, sure, 20 times a day, I decided a different path recently. And I decided that we would bake a chocolate cake from scratch. Oh yeah, and bake a chocolate cake from scratch is what we did. I got the wife's permission because I'm good like that. I understand how that dynamic works. We looked at our calendar. We found the perfect Saturday afternoon to make this happen. We had the ingredients lined up on our kitchen counter. We even found the perfect chocolate cake recipe that was literally titled "The Best Chocolate Cake Ever." Okay, so far so good. I reviewed the ingredients. I looked at the recipe. I visualized it. I saw it happening in my mind. I also got out our state-of-the-art, heavy-duty, professional-grade stainless steel mixer that I'm guessing had to have come with our house because there's really no other logical explanation how something like that made its way onto my counter. And the big day arrived. Everything was great. We were mixing, adding, making it happening, following the directions, preheated the oven, poured the batter into the cake tins, set the timer. 35 minutes later, I'm proud to announce that the Cary household baked their first best chocolate cake ever. Ish. See, now, I know I'm not going to win any awards for this chocolate cake. Nobody is going to be calling on me anytime in the near future for their chocolate cake needs. I've come to terms with this. But let's say that that's exactly what I did want to happen. What if I wanted to be known as the father of chocolate cake, and I wanted Danica, and I wanted her friends, and their parents, and everybody in town to know me for my chocolate cake and to call on me for those reasons? What would I have to do? How would I just have to get a little bit better than this? Well, for starters, I'd have to become so familiar with the whole process of baking. Because what I did was follow a seemingly simple recipe, a deceptively simple recipe. Make no mistake, this recipe was 7 steps in plain English. Add this, sprinkle that, mix that, do this, done. Yet that's the outcome. So in order to get a little bit better than this, I'd have to have a bigger, broader knowledge and experience, wouldn't I? Things like understanding how the quality of the oven itself plays a part. I've learned that the rack you put it on makes a world of difference. I also found out that there are over a dozen varieties of flour. I'd have to know how each affect the outcome, right? And what if that big day came and somebody called me and said, Josh, I want you to bake me one of your famous chocolate cakes for my husband's birthday, but he has high cholesterol. Okay, so what might a reduction in eggs do? Could I substitute egg whites? Is there a difference between brown and white, grade A and large? All of these things. Because let me make one thing clear. This cake is good. It got eaten, okay? I'm going to admit that. It had a great existence, a short one, but we treated it well. But it's only good in the confines of that situation. It was good for my daughter. We got to bond with her. She got to lick a bowl. It was a win in that situation, but not much further, right? In this scenario, I want to be able to make a living at what I do. It takes a lot more than following a seemingly simple recipe. So how does all this compare to what we're doing here today? How do we go from a good chocolate cake to one that's a little bit better and one that is extraordinary? Now make no mistake, you know that being good is not going to cut it in what we do. Being good is not going to get your phone ringing. Being good is not going to keep you in business. Being good is not going to get people to hire you, call on you, refer you. Only being extraordinary will. Now, this is not about you becoming extraordinary. We are already there. We know that. We're already there. You're here. You know you're extraordinary. Your best clients know you're extraordinary. You simply are. What is this about? This is about getting to the point where you position yourself in your local community as extraordinary. For the people who don't know you exist yet, and that you exist so extraordinary to solve their problems and to serve them. So how do we do that? How do we go from good to extraordinary on a big level? Well, we know today we're focusing on your website. We're going to talk about the 4 essential elements of an effective website. And what does that word effective mean? Because you know that there's a big difference between having a website and having a website that works the way you want it to work and does the job you need it to do. The dictionary tells us effective is anything producing the expected or intended result. So what is that intended result or outcome we are so desperately looking for? Well, I've been building websites since 1999, exclusively for our industry since 2008. And I can tell you that no matter the industry, an effective website has 2 specific goals. 1, it must land in Google for your chosen key phrases when a potential client is searching for the services you provide. And 2, it must motivate and inspire the majority of your visitors to make contact and get in touch with you once they're on your site. Because think about it, if Google sends you all the traffic you can handle, yet nobody gets in touch, is it a win? Of course not. The most important piece of this puzzle is that these 2 goals must work together. They are not independent of each other. They must work in tandem. You do not focus on one without the other. Once you understand one, you can work on the other, and then they intertwine and build on each other. So how do you do that? How do you achieve a website that gets the attention of Google, where they're showing it in the results, and your users are loving what they see? Your website is so useful, so user-friendly, so extraordinary that they're begging for the chance to work with you. How do you do that? That's what we're going to focus on today. Are you with me? Say aye. Aye. All right, here we go with number 1. Most essential element, number 1. Location specific. Reduce confusion, meet expectation. If a user is confused or unsure or they don't know where to go, they're going back to Google. And what happens when they do? Google's going to take that into account. So these little nuances that you can be aware of and understand how to best serve your audience, to display your extraordinary nature. Because again, this is not about becoming extraordinary. We are there. You are already there. You just have to identify these places. Essential element number 2, mobile friendly, so we are all mobily connected. What is the role of Google to best serve their customer who they're going to send your way? If you look at your Google Analytics, there is an area that will tell you what percentage of your own visitors are coming to your site via mobile. In our industry, it's usually between 30 and 50%, and it's only going up. So your site must be mobile friendly and mobile ready, because Google wants to make sure that if their search user is searching on a mobile, they want to make sure that the experience matches what they expect it to match. Essential element number 3 is valuable content. People say, oh, I don't have time for this. Yet, I see them on Facebook. It gets better. Not only perusing around and having mindless chatter, which sure, we all do, fine. But I'll see people being so helpful in our pet sitting groups, answering a question. Guess what? You just blogged. You just wrote an article. That's it. That is it. That's one small example. You're already doing it. Okay? Just understand how you see this. Every conversation you have with a client, potential client, person you randomly meet, all of that stuff coming out of your mouth is it. Element number 4, essential element, is call to action. Look at this picture over here. No, this way. We all know the concept of leadership and being a pack leader, whether it's for the pets in our care, the children in our care, what have you, any relationship. Leading is so important. We as human beings demand, actually, to be led. If we're not, we have no guidance and it's chaotic, isn't it? Our websites are no different.